Well, I will show you let me find it. I have, oh yes. I will share, I have to be careful to share the screen I want to share. Safari, yes, share. So now you can see my photo album. This was Studio 2, 2019. And this was the mock-up of the panels for presentation. Right? I think this is the 4A0. You can see Sui and Seri. I think this is Seri project, making the stitching of A4 prints for the mock-up. So the mock-up is the real panel. Maybe some of the elements are not totally decided, right? But you can see how it works. And with this panel, we put it on the wall and we checked the things to be changed. This is on the wall. Actually, it was Sui, sorry. And you have the presentation on the corridor, right? And this is Seri, with her stitching, and then we did on the wall. So you see, this is a size which is very easy to move, show around references, and explain the project. And the button is always secondary, always in a presentation. Especially here, we have, okay, I think it was Sui again. So it's very hard to, especially in the 7th floor, to have the drawings much higher. But this gives you, well, you know, this is Chiho. No, but this is Chiho, but it's not his project. Right. You see the titles. So in this case, in which many students chose the 4A0, it's a little bit like the manhwa style with the starting and end with support elements in between. So this is quite interesting exercise. This is the critic. And there's other classes being very happy because they did small panels. There's the author, and this is another, and so on, right? And this is the critic with the comments. So you can see how they stand, right? So people were more advanced than others. So this was starting from the center. I had a plan to go to the sides, right? So this is something which was fixed later. This is Dassault sleeping. He slept also the materials exam. He had to retake. And so you have all the students. Interesting projects, all of them. It was very hardworking here. Because this is the photography workshop we did with explanation of lenses and the photo basics, and then some things and so on. And then this was like we are doing now, probably the week before, 2 days before. This is the real presentation. So these are the real panels. This was Dassault. So you see the diagonal composition, the title in the middle, and then the storytelling going around, right? Which kind of worked. His presentation. The model, and the jury. And you remember Mark Rosa. So that's all used the 2A0, right? So you don't need to make it too large, but this is enough to have some mass to show, right? This was much bigger. But you see, this is the comfortable thing. It is very easy to point at everywhere and to relate things because everything is near to the rest, right? And the images are very well chosen. They don't tell everything, but they just give the strong points of the abstraction, the sculptural quality of this building, which was the subject of Dassel, who was working on a famous sculpture, Eduardo Chillida. The discussions. And then we have Seguin, who is, I think, still in the military. Again, you see how much the final panel improved compared to the initial mock-up. Again, you have very clear diagonal structure, right? With also a very clever position of the main section. So the ground is really making a support. And then telling the story, and then the project, right? And you see there's one plan and one section well elaborated, and the rest is just the basic of what is necessary. City walk-up. No. The iPhone City speaks Spanish. The iWatch City speaks English. Whatever. So you see how important is the mock-up. Then how helpful is to really be careful. And how clever was Seguin in choosing very well the large scale section as a main drawing, and then to give value to the plans he thought more important, right? It was not bad. And see, for presenting offline, it works very well because very comfortable to show. Actually, have a video. But you have, obviously he was nervous, just to move less when you present. Okay. And then the model and explanations. So this is a panel which stands very well the distance and really makes easier to convince the critics. Of course, the model was good. And in the end, Mark kind of didn't dissuade him too much. There's the good thing of models. So you see this photo, which is my photo in a hurry and with bad light, but it shows a lot of things which will be very hard to show convincingly in a render, right? The model is obviously not finished, not perfect, but that unfinished character lets room for imagination. But it shows very well the light, even probably accidental light, which in a render will be very difficult to control, right? So in this case, the model was not in the panel, of course, it was in the presentation, but model photo is much more convincing than the renders. And actually he used his model photos for the interiors. This is a Swiss panel. Again, quite well organized. She had a different strategy, right? Like having main shot and then diagrams, and then the project information a bit more continuous, but making clear connection of plan and section And then other plans and elements and references a bit more small. But this is a second project. Oh, we have some people knocking the door. I think Jimin came back. I cannot. Hello. Okay. And this is the presentation. Of course, everybody is a bit tight. But you can see the happiness of finally presenting. I don't know why the sound doesn't move, but it's okay. And again, good models. And again, this is a heart rate photo with bad light, but models, good model, if well photographed, have an effect, impact that renders do not have. That they're much more natural. And you can make 100 photos in a short time. You cannot make 100 renders in one short time. And again, when you present at this size, it's so easy to see everything. And the jury gets much more convinced of things. And you see, this is the inspiration and the diagram. So they are large enough. So everything is large, it's easy to see, right? And we cannot repeat. You will not see Mark smiling so often. Okay. Again, the model is 1:50 scale. So, sorry, 1:100 scale, but the whole site. Okay. This is another example, very nice project. And again, you see there's a big change from the mockup. In this case, the section was the center because it was very strong image. And then you have all the super materials around with the main shot and the interior views, the same diagonal element, but just enough. So everything is probably 1:100 with the section at maybe it was not even 1:50. I cannot say, maybe 1:20. 1:20, right? So you see, when you show one section like that as a main shot, you don't need to speak much, right? And then the rest is quite well, quite well explained. So all drawings are quite good. I cannot move so much. Okay. And then to go back. Okay. Presentation, model. So you see the size of that section. Right. So again, that shows confidence, and of course demonstrates a level of elaboration that is difficult to discuss later. Model. Interior was difficult to shot. We have, okay, comments. Probably this is a video clip. If it wants to move. Which is kind of what you do with the ramp, actually. The way the ramp, that's why you got the double layer. Okay. Sari with her big plan either. And this was a bit more difficult because Sari wanted to show too many things. So probably said too many shots, but okay. Whatever you see that the small, let me see, Junghyun is coming in. Actually, we have two projects the art study site and then the plans. But you see, even the small elements are quite big, so everything is easy to see. And you see the size of the panel, again, just in the limit of what you can hold when you explain. See again how the main drawings are the core of the panel. So it's important you should be able to point physically at whatever you have in the plans. We have an echo. Okay, we don't need to see all the videos. And the model was nicely done also. Very difficult project because it was very organic. It's hard to solve and to draw. This Maisa, who did also very nice project. And the panel was a bit more messy, but again, it worked. And it was a very nice model, actually. A bit small on scale, but a nice model always helps. Right. Let's skip the videos. There's a final one, which I guess it was Jiho. Yes, Jiho, who did not finish completely the model, but had a hard time because he was doing everything hand drawing, because many did hand drawings, but kind of managed to present. And again, you see many students chose the diagonal, in this case storytelling, and then drawings, the other part with some support materials, right? It was not the best composition, but kind of worked. And you see all the explanations of art, analysis, motivation, and so on are large enough. So it's like a one A3 each. It's not like small, tiny drawings. So everything is easy to see and recognize. Okay, we have videos there. And the class almost dead. The end. And this is the final one. I think that's the last presentation, mainly. It was a nice project, right? A bit difficult because things were a bit scattered, but still worked. This is the 3 A0s. Beautiful model, which also helped to sell the idea. And very nice, very elaborated interior. Is the comments of Mark. We have also Jong-in. Is it actually, I think the 4A0. Also a beautiful model and a nice project in which, well, this may help Donhui, sorry, thinking on the ramp. So straight, simple ramps always work much better and link much more than very complicated elements. Presentation and study models. And you see, yeah, this is for A0. Being yourself wrapped around the panel really gives a strong impression. In this case, it was a tic-tac composition, right? With the starting point, main drawings and shots alternated with the views. Okay, we have videos. And you see, when you use the time you have during the semester to design, you have spare time to create a good model, good presentation drawings, a good model. Still, it's not perfect, but there was enough development in between to make a nice convincing project. and almost everybody did. I think it's the final. Well, everybody happy? Mark is hiding. And this day, the remote control of the camera worked. Okay. These people are dying. And this is final. Free, happy. And of course, these are the notes. We can go to the previous session. Because we have a party. Yeah. So this is the, I'm going to show you the essays. So before the presentation, if I get to say, I can work on it and I can fix a little bit. And it helps. Probably it helps in the presentation. In general, I don't know about this group now, but the text composition in general is very weak. The flow of ideas, the organization of the text, is not just the language. It's how ideas are arranged is extremely messy. So this is, say, reduction gives a lot of work, and for almost everybody. Somebody better than us, but almost in all cases. And there's many things missing and many questions, right? So something you should consider because it is important and helps. And as I say, if you have clear ideas, probably it is easy you express them with clarity. If you cannot tell the story clearly, it's probably you don't have a clear idea of what you are doing. This was the poster with each student, with the artist everyone was doing. I think it's the last poster I did. Okay, so I will stop sharing this. Oh, almost everybody awake. Amazing. I'll just go, oh, we're changing. Okay, just one short 5 more minutes because I had it prepared. Then we can comment more on Tuesday, but you get the idea of the power of big panels, right? Actually, to compress everything in a small panel and to make a large panel, the effort is not very different. The only thing you need, of course, is to produce something to scale. But you see, Sequan had only one section at 1:50. The rest was smaller. That was enough. But it was clear, very nice, and he had a very convincing shots, right? But of course, if everything is a 1 to 200 scale, you might want to stick to 1:80. But really, with a little bit more effort, you can get much more monumental, much more convincing work. Always used to do things big. In architecture, that's a key. Give me 5 more minutes. And I think this is, what do we have this? Stop. Go back to sharing screen. Oh, hello, Jonghyun. What is your beer? What is your chimek? Non-alcoholic beer. Share screen. Okay, this is the yearbook of 5 years ago. This is just the format for printing, but you see, you should see the pages by pairs. So this is one student. Actually, this model was in the 3rd floor. This was okay project, not bad. But this model photo, I think, is convincing. This is my photo. Okay, but this photo with some blurring at the end and some intention the angle says a lot of things. If you see the project drawings, probably this did not even present the project, so we only have the photo. Okay, this is, I know this is again my photo. This very cool model. This was Ko Un-sol. She was the first Studio 2 I taught in Kodae. It was 2012. Wow. And then she was in my Studio 7. She started this project. And then Studio 8, she did another group. But you see this photo, we don't know what it is, but it's great for a main shot, I think. It's not because of my photo, because the model was beautiful. I took this photo in the exhibition. But if you see how she showed the project, this is the project as she showed it. Okay, this nice project, but come on, that beautiful model appears only in a very tiny photo, which is almost impossible to see anything, right? So at least she used the model photo. She got a nice diagram, but again, very tiny, very small for the book, right? And then some interior renders, which actually I would not include it this publication because it's like a really, really raw render, half done with prefabricated stair handrails, very abstract space, and very much catalog furniture. The difference between this interior and this view, if we can see it, we cannot see it. So let's go back. This view is enormous, right? So you have to be very careful on how you show your materials. And taking photos is a technique you should practice, because usually the photos of the models you make are terrible, terrible. I will go fast because I had very good group this year. So these other projects which were just okay, it's not bad. Bagliese was in my Studio 7, and this is my Studio 3. And again, this is a Kim Uni. Actually, she did the model 1 to 100. She didn't have time to make it 1 to 50. But it was so detailed, so great, that it was the cover for our group. Again, this is my photo. And taken with the soft light in a cloudy day. But that photo is better than any render, I think. Actually, it was the cover for the studio. So you will have, this is Uni's presentation. Actually, this is another photo, which is also mine, because her photo was a little bit too harsh. So I asked her to change for mine. But this is quite a nice development. I don't have the panel. It's a very nice site plan, very well organized. The interior shots, which are a little bit in the mood of what Subin was telling. I think those interiors are better than those of Chiaji, Song Gagi, but actually Song Chiaji. Well, I'm not sure about the intonation. I hate to change the name of Chinese students, but probably having you may have a look at this. This is 2015 yearbook, and this is kindergarten. Actually, it's a nice project. Now Uni is working in 101 architects. Also very nice section, right? With the context, the interior space, well explained, right? So it's showing a lot of things. And she did, it's not in the yearbook, she did a construction detail. This is Chu Hejin. Again, super powerful student, but she made a cerebrovascular hospital. If you can choose, never make a hospital. She almost died because of the complexity. And it is very hard to make a nice, beautiful space with hospitals, but they are very complex. But she worked in the model with textures and materials, and she discovered how hard it is to make a facade. And there is quite a lot of Aalto inspiration here. And sketches and floor plan. It's very worked out, but again, you see hospitals don't give you so much room for creativity, but still the exterior space, courtyard, access is quite well controlled. But PTC chose this subject. Habi, Kuhabi, also hardworking, very nice project. A library, curiously, but very consistent, well developed, well expressed. But he made a render which is very elaborate, but something I wish you do not do. So if you make photorealistic materials, this was supposed to be bricks, but come on, these are super bricks. They have no scale, right? And it was not the intention. So it makes a very weird and very artificial interior space. But okay, he's working now, I think, in one of the big offices. So Hejin is in Changzhou, not Changzhou, Gansan, one big office. I'm probably Happy is in, I think, probably Heian. I'm not sure, or whatever. So one problem with the renders is to be careful. This is a Hejin, sorry, Eugene. She did her master in Pennsylvania. No, in Washington, I think. Wow. It was just okay project. And then this was amazing. Sun Yeon, he's now in London. This is the photo of his model. He did the model 1:50 with the construction details. Of course, this is the Zumthor Kunsthaus turned into a church. It's a huge model with the next explanation of the project and the full site section, floor plan. And he had also 1:100 scale model of the whole complex because it was church and the social center with some urban design in the middle, right? And very nice integration in the hill around. This is in Changxin, I think. Again, it will be very difficult you achieve this kind of interior shot with a render. You can, but actually in the model you can have many shots, right? And they will look much more realistic because it's a real object. It's not a simulation. This was Hyun, who worked in Hanok, so hardworking, all drawings, nice project. And Hum Young, who is going to London to study also his master in August. This is an interesting project because here the views are important. So he expressed very well the views you have in the building and based on old paintings. There's a museum if we have the traditional painting, but you can see the landscapes from the building. And then in the interior shots, the interior renders, which are here, you have a simulation, but this is a computer render, which is okay if you do it correctly. You have a simulation of the view you have, right? This is in Wonsan, apparently, right? So this was a nice project. Actually, he did the whole building 1 to 50 huge model, he could have made the interior renders from photos, as Sun Yun did. But the important point, remember how many times you speak of the view of Bukhansan or Naksan, and it's only words. So you have a view and use it, show it, right? So we can understand what you're doing. This is okay. Render on the site, a simple building, and one of the spaces he worked much, which was the stairs, and because the stairs would bring to this room with the final view, right? The building quite simple, but well organized. Hunyun is like a chief designer now in Atelier de Lyon, very nice office, but he's leaving to go to do his master in London. One more, Huang Kisu, maybe some of you know him. He went to Stockholm. He made a housing project, and well, you see how refined the section is. He almost died to study the whole landscape, the interior courtyard, the connection with the street, and then the different spaces of the commercial, social spaces in the lower floors, right? With the community facilities, and then the different kinds of houses with a very clean and neat drawing. Actually, they called him El Croquis guy, right? And if you see the model, also he did 1 to 200 model of the whole area, huge project, and then 1 to 50 model of some part. Of course, these are my photos. Also with bad light, very fast during the final presentation in Hana Square. It's a terrible space. And one more, Obin, Kwon Obin, super talented, but after graduating, I think he studied law. And he worked in Zhonglim, and he decided he was more passionate about construction law and the legal part. So I think he studied law, but he's still involved in construction. There's some interesting building in Itaewon. Nicely presented, right? But okay. And then we have another group. Again, nice model of a project. He showed just the drawings and computer renders were very nice, but the photo was much more expressive. First, again, it's my photo. It's not telling them I'm a good photographer, but it's many years taking photos. So you have to see the shot and find the perfect angle to show the most flattering view. That's 2015. Let me stop sharing this, and I will take 1 more minute, only one project, because you will see how painful just you can stretch your spine in 5 minutes. I will finish now, so I will show only a little bit. I have to share a screen. It is this one. Okay, so this 2018, I think, 2018. First year we went to the 7th floor. So this is myself with Ikwan Jeep. They're taking note very serious of all 4 groups. And this is Itaekun. You will recognize the panel, the background. I'm sure you saw it. So this is the student who got John Tehua, who got the prize from Professor Yeo studio. Cool Tower, so render. So this is like a really half dome render. This is very abstract and very generic materials. Process, which is okay. Well, I don't think he needs so much. The floor plans are terrible. So I don't know, but for a graduation project, those floor plans are really, really below the level you would expect. And then section, which again has some interesting parts. Actually, you would be interested in some connections, but come on, you will do much better than this in Studio 3, right? And that is very abstract and half done. Another render, which doesn't say much. And then a page with renders, which are horrible, all three. I'm sorry to say. And the project is not bad, but you see one render in which 50% of the drawing is asphalt. The project, maybe just 15%, right? And the other 15% is just abstract material. Just to show the connection, probably with the soul law or whatever. And then 2 more renders which are repetitive. After the cover, we had here, right? We don't need to see repetition. So those 2 renders are almost the same. And that's something you have to be very careful when you make 3D models. It is better you work more on the materials, the definition of the exterior spaces, the details of the building, especially in the areas you will take the shot, and your project looks like a real building, not like just a skeleton or something improvised. So diagram is cool, and everything else is just a diagram of a building, like just bare bones. If I show you this image, okay, this is really cool. And this could be really good project. And this is the same project. This guy made an amazing model, but he didn't put it in the book. I cannot believe. So I put my photo of his model, which was much better than any of the renders. And this is what I don't understand. Why, having this in front of you, you use those repetitive poor renders, which show all the weak points of the project. Okay, the floor plans had no salvation. The same project could be drawn much better, right? This is really lack of a skill. But this model, you could have just this photo and maybe other photo of the full model and a few plans in 2 pages instead of repeating so much, right? So this is why I tell you that a good photo of a good model, even of a so-so model, gives much more impact than so-so or really bad renders, right? So I respect the decision. Professor Yu was the boss, and he still got the prize. But for a graduation project, this is not really such a great project or render. Let's look at parade of buses. Okay, I will stop here because it's enough. But you see the importance of choosing very well how you show your project. How terrible are bad drawings of plans and sections, and how even more terrible are bad renders, and how great are just nice models with a good photo, right? And models are much more fun to make than a 3D model because you see what you're doing. You can touch it, right? So that's what I wanted to tell. I don't tell it is bad to make digital models. So Hunyon and the Uni did very nice interior shots, right? But you have to have very clear what you show and elaborate them in some way that really tell the message, right? Uni's kindergarten were not very detailed. Hunyan Museum was not detailed, but it will show very well the atmosphere and the intention. Unsol interior computer render was a disaster. Even though she had a fantastic model, really, maybe the most beautiful model of the whole exhibition, but she didn't know, she didn't show it. So after the exhibition, you go through the book, you will not know. Well, you will know because I put the photo, right? But if I didn't put the photo, nobody will know about her talent. And she's now chief architect in Unsandong, which again is talented people, but a little bit too commercial projects. But they are all in offices which are not easy to enter. They have very, very high expectation. But well, the message is clear. Right? Computer render, careful, show very well the message, right? Physical models in general give much better, much more impact that computer renders, right? Then the choice is yours. Okay, so I think we have 1 extra hour. I think that's enough. And Junhyun is already drunk with iced coffee. Okay, so I'll take a final shot.
Professor,
Yes.
to Sarah speak.
Sorry. Sarah.
Sarah, yes.
Okay.
I was just asking about the yearbook PDF. You told us we already have it,
Yes.
but I can't
have-
really find it anywhere.
I see. Okay, I will put the links, and actually I will share all yearbooks. Okay.
Okay.
Have 2012, 13 I prepared, but it was not published. It was painful. 2014 was the 50 years anniversary, which I didn't prepare, and it's not great. Then you have 12, 15, 16. I think 17 is the first in large format, 18, 19, and 20. 8. No, 7 yearbooks. So I will share all of them.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So see you Tuesday with plenty of sections, elevations, and study models. Goodbye.